Cardin. I'm a member of Plato Madison. I'm also a retired Wisconsin Public Radio talk show host. I had Mary Helen Conroy on as a guest on my last day on the air almost exactly 3.5 years ago. I found her advice very helpful and her message inspiring, and I hope that you do too. And it was great to get tips and experiences from the WPR audience on that day too. So I hope you will join in with your advice as well as your questions. Did you reinvent yourself after retirement? Are you following that dream that you put off when you were working? Perhaps you're struggling with finding your plan, or maybe you're concerned about what you will do when your upcoming retirement begins. Whatever the case may be, please write your comment, your question in the Q&A box, and I will share those with Mary Helen after her presentation. Mary Helen Conroy is a reinvention life coach, a speaker, and author of the amazing Itty Bitty Retirement book, which was a Kindle #1 bestseller. She has been called a midwife for midlife, clever, and through her company, Life's a Daring Adventure, she strives to remind all of us that regardless of age, we are not alone and we are not done yet. So whether you're newly or nearly retired, or you've been retired for longer than that, I know I'm looking forward to a checkup. In today's talk, she will share 15 essential tips for making your next chapter your best chapter. So please extend a warm Zoom welcome to Mary Helen Conroy. Thank you, Mary Helen, for being with us today.
Oh, what a pleasure, Joy. I'm so glad. Thanks for that introduction. It was a real privilege to be on your last show. And the comments we got from the audience to share with you as well were just wonderful. So I can't wait to hear everybody's tips, etc. So what I'd like everybody to do is to get your cup of coffee. I have my Joy cup. Have a cup of tea, and we're just going to chat. This whole topic of retirement is huge. And so I've tried to break it down to 15 tips for you. And I'm now going to share my screen so that we can have a little visual with this as well. And so let me get this all taken care of, because of course, we're now at the front end. So I'm going to ask you, are you ready? Are you ready for this journey called retirement? It's a big one, isn't it? But I want you to know where we're off to today. I want you to know that we're going to talk about the tips. So get a piece of paper and pencil, because I know that out of those 15 tips, there's one just for you. And I want to make sure you can capture that. I want you to be ready to recharge your day, your life, and to make the retirement the best that you can ever have it. And please, let's have some fun. And maybe you're going to win one of the books. So I hope you'll stay with us the entire way. But my Life's a Daring Adventure business started 7 years ago when I ended my career life. And on that day, I so remember it. And like Joy remembers her last show, I remember putting the key in the lock to the door, turning it, getting off the stoop, and going, Mary Helen, you are 62 years old. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? And folks, I wish I could have said I knew what it was. I didn't have a clue. I had been a public librarian for about 20 years, a library building consultant. I came to Madison, Wisconsin 24 years ago, and I became an adjunct professor at Cardinal University. And I work for a publication called Women in Higher Education. Each of those career chapters were amazing. They were full of purpose. It was big work. I enjoyed every day of my career. Now, you may say you do or you don't. That's up to you. But for me, I really did. And so stepping off that stoop to not knowing was huge. Now, I did, and maybe people don't do this, but I got myself into a pink fuzzy bathrobe. And I sat down and I watched a lot of HGTV at that point. And I'd say for about 3 months, I didn't do anything. Now, maybe that's not your best tip, but I want to tell you that taking a break after your last career day is important. Just stop. I had been working since the age of 13. I had not stopped. So those 3 months of trying to figure out this thing called retirement was huge for me. And the only thing that came to me was the Helen Keller quote that you see, life's a daring adventure. And I'd walk around my apartment going, life's a daring adventure. It doesn't feel like that. Life's a daring adventure. What does that mean? And it wasn't until I added the words, and you're not done yet, that it started to make sense to me. And so I decided that I would name myself life coach, because one of the things that happens with retirement is somebody comes up to you and says, well, what are you doing now? And you go, I'm retired. And they move on to the next person because they've got to be more exciting than you because you're retired. Wrong. What I say is, I'm the CEO of my life and it's really great. Or perhaps I might say, every day is so interesting. I don't even know what to call myself anymore. I decided life coach was going to be my new title. I printed up business cards saying life's a daring adventure life coach. And I still didn't know what that meant, but I started out and I started meeting people. One of the gentlemen that I really had fun with over coffee was a 92-year-old. And he said, what do you do? I'm a life coach. What in the world is that? And I said, I believe that everybody, regardless of the number of candles on their cake, still have a dream in their heart. And I want to help them to get there. That's what I do. And he said, wow, okay. And I tapped him on his arm. And I said, and the other thing I know is if you're not dead, you're not done. And he said, you're right. So I want some children to be able to help us to figure out what this all means, because where I really learned about life's a daring adventure was from my elder son. When he was that baby, 9, 12 months old, he'd be in his crib yelling, Mom, Mom, at an ungodly hour of the morning to get him out. And I'm not good non-caffeinated. Without coffee in the morning, not good. But one day I looked at him and he had the most wonderful smile on his face. He was so excited to see me. Maybe you've seen that look. And I looked at him and I realized that for him, my getting him out of the bed would allow him to have a brand new day. A brand new day. I had forgotten that. I had forgotten the gift of a brand new day. I had forgotten that every day we're lucky enough to put our feet on the ground. We could have a daily adventure. And that's what I mean by life's a daring adventure. I don't want you bungee jumping unless you want to. I want you enjoying each day. And I've got some other young people that might be able to help us with this as well.
To be a bubble master. It's my passion to be singing on a stage. Or probably by Jupiter. I want to be a teacher, a fireman, a vet. I could be the firewoman vet. Oh, wow. I am going to be a spaceship engineer. Nice.
Time goes fast.
How did I ever get to be this age?
It's like you go to sleep and you're 25 and you wake up and you're 70.
When I was thinking about being 55 years old and thinking I was going to be old and decrepit, and the next thing I knew, I was 60.
My babies are now 71 and 67.
I don't understand it when adults are so busy on their phone. All they do is just get this done. Stop talking to me. Stressed out, tired, or sad. I don't understand why adults get so stressed out. Yeah.
Out of the mouths of babes, right? They know a lot more than we do. I don't know about you, but this whole word retire, I never use it. I'll use it in this talk because that's the name of the talk, basically, but I hate the word retire, because what I have tried to do since my non-career life is I've tried to re-examine, recreate, retune, rewire. We are not cars that needed to be retired. We are humans that need to be able to look at our lives and figure it out, but play with the word. What's the best one for you if you're not retired? Now, people have always asked me, being a life coach, retirement coach, what's it like to retire? And you know what? I now have an answer for that. The entire world now knows what it's like to retire. It's called a pandemic. If you have survived the past year, you can retire. You can do your retirement. All of a sudden, everything we knew was gone. The people we'd see, the schedules we'd have, the obligations were gone. Whatever that was, that's what retirement is. We don't have an alarm clock anymore. What we have are choices. We have choices, services, how our family's going to be. You know, I haven't given that son of mine a hug since December of 2019. That's too long. It's too long. Our travel, our recreation, our employment, each of these are choices for us that we get to plan without the retirement clock that we've always punched. But we do need to take steps. We need to take steps into our retirement by looking at what's important to us. What's your sense of purpose? Do you know? You know, one of the other talks, and I'll be giving it next week at the Madison Senior Center, is on mattering. Because as I sat on that couch in my pink fuzzy robe, I said to myself, did it matter? Indeed, did it matter that I was a librarian, that I was an instructor, that I was a mother? You know, I know in my head that it did matter, but we need to feel our sense of purpose, and we need to look at that. How our health is number one. Are we going to do more personal growth? Are you going to take more Plato courses as the years go on? I hope so. And the one thing that I have discovered is that people say, and Joy heard this, Joy heard it on the radio that last day. Now, what you should do is you should go and volunteer somewhere and make sure that you do service of some sort. And I agree with that. I agree that that can be part of it. But I want you to look at your own personality, because telling everybody to go work perhaps in a food kitchen, go work in a service organization might not be your best adrenaline drug, because you're still going to have your adrenaline. And so let's look at those. There's 4 different kinds. See if you can pick yourself out. Generally at work, are you that stability, hard work person? You like being in charge? That's your drug? Well, where you need to go in retirement is another place that you'd be able to use those kind of skills if you want to continue doing so. So maybe you'd like to join a board, maybe the Friends of the Library board, maybe civically, or work on a nonprofit's work. Perhaps if you're an independent thinker and you're driven by information, maybe you want to teach. Maybe you want to be a consultant. Maybe you want to write your book. Do you love right now serving others? Because you're motivated being with other people. Those are book clubs. Those are Plato groups. They're service groups. They're church groups. That might be your best place to start. And are you a multitasker? Are you a risk taker? Maybe you've got a new business in plan and you're not sure what it is yet, but maybe that's the way to go. So looking at what drives you right now might be one of the things that helps you as you move ahead. I know for myself, I needed to review, retreat, and reinvent. Those are the 3 words that really were useful to me as I started to look at the clues I needed. And so what I did was I took the biggest piece of white paper I could find and I put it on the dining room table. And I started to list, going all the way back to the time that I volunteered at my first public library when I was 10, all the way through my career. And I would list different things that I had done, different service groups I had been at, different events that really I enjoyed. I listed the things I hated, but I wanted to look at the past of my life, to review my life on the sheet of paper and find the threads that I could pull to make the quilt for my future. And I found 3 of them. What I discovered about myself was that I love sharing information. That's why I became a librarian. That's why I was an instructor for 20 years. That's why I'm talking to you right now. I love sharing information that I can Google anything on my phone, over the top, priceless. The second thing I realized was that I love creating safe learning environments. I can't wait till I can have a cup of coffee with you at Barrique somewhere. I love being able to make people feel safe about their learning. And the third is, I love inspiring people. I know that we can together, after today even, I hope, that you will be inspired to dream your best dream. And they're not just moonshine and glitzy and all that. It's what's ever really in your heart. And in fact, my website is called yourheartdreams.com. Yourheartdreams.com. The second tip is that I needed that 3 months alone without a whole lot of stimulation. I needed to retreat. You can do that for a weekend. You can do it for a day. Say that next Thursday, you're going to get that big piece of paper and put it on your dining room table. And just retreat from everybody else. Don't listen to anybody else's comments and find out what you're thinking about so that you can do the third R, which is to reinvent every part of your life. Spaghetti thrower was really mine. I did life coaching. I have spoken. I've done workshops. I now help people publish their books. Whatever it is, throw ideas out for yourself. Make a list of just ideas. And to do so, you need to cultivate the right mindset. Now, there are usually 2 thoughts on this. And the first thought is the fixed mindset. And we all need the fixed mindset. I need to know in the morning that I'm going to have a cup of coffee. That's a given. I know that I'm going to have breakfast. There are things that I'm going to do during the day. Those are fixed. Where we get in trouble is if we live in the fixed mindset, because that's that phrase, if you always did what you always did, you always get what you always got. And we all know that's the symbol and definition of insanity. I'm going to encourage you to get a growth mindset, because the growth mindset says every morning is a daring adventure. You are a new canvas every morning. Just think if you bought one of those white canvas boards and just wrote the word retirement on it and started doing the vision boards, putting color on there. What color might your retirement look like? And some of the fun games that you can do with that is watch a different news channel. Okay, you're in the car, whatever, and I'm sure it's NPR that's on your radio station, maybe, turn to a different channel that you've never heard before and listen to it for 15 minutes. Change it up. Take a walk. And when you get to the corner, go left and then go right. Or here's a fun one. Put a coin in your pocket. And when you get to that corner, flip the coin, and that determines whether you go left or right. Change up your life in simple ways, and your life will be changed in big ways. I love that Leonardo da Vinci used to carry around with him an idea book. Just one of those small little pocketbooks. And every time he found something interesting, he would write it down. So when he saw a dragonfly, he wondered why the wings of a dragonfly are set like that and so long. He pondered that enough that he invented the helicopter. My idea book is, okay, where can I go? Where's a new thrift store that I might want to go to? I need a new recipe for making Mexican corn. I write those down. I write down any of those ideas that come to me during the day. And then later I have in my idea book things I can think about. I encourage you to do the same. And one of the ways that the whole mindset issue comes up is this tip. I would love to tell you that there is nothing like great divorce, but I'm going to tell you that 1 of 4 spouses will divorce are 50 and over. I know many, many, many of you have been with your partners for a very long time, and congratulations, and it fills your heart. I also know that 66% of divorces are initiated by the wife. There's all kinds of reasons for that. But one of the reasons I think also happens is the mindset. If the person that you're living with gets up in the morning, lives their day, goes to bed at night, gets up in the morning, and you still think that they're the same person, you are absolutely wrong. None of us are the same person when we wake up that we were when we got up the day before. We have had experiences, we have had events. I'm hoping that today you might be with your partner on this webinar or not. If you're not, sit down and talk about it. Because if we only do things with our partners, we don't have anything to talk about. Make places to talk about. Because that last statistic on here, the 25% of married couples sleep in separate bedrooms, is not a bad thing. We need space in our life. We need space to grow. We need space to think. I was talking with Joy about it, and she said, yes, when Rob takes his bike tours, she gets to pick her own food. She can stay up late. Not that she can't when he's there. That's not the point. But being by yourself is also a good thing because you have a lot more to share. Because it's about fun. And I'm writing this with the F word to enjoy, because in my work life, it wasn't about fun. I worked really hard. I didn't know the fun word, but I have learned the fun word in a variety of ways. Whether you try pickleball, whether you're starting knitting, whatever it is for you, whatever's fun. And I'd like us to have some fun right now. So if you don't mind, what I'd like to do is have you put your hands up just in front of your face. And what I'd like you to do is start laughing. You know, you can have fun doing the dishes tonight if you do this. Before you hit that hot soapy water, put your arms way up in the air. Okay, try that, way up in the air. And what are you going to do? You're going to laugh. Do you know about laughing yoga? You got to Google it. It's a hoot. The theory is, if we use our laughing muscles, it increases the amount of oxygen to our brain, and we start looking at the world more fully just by laughing. And as you can tell from those kids, we need to do that. We need to move on to that. Now, remember, if you have questions, put them in the Q&A. If you want a copy of this PowerPoint, it's absolutely going to be available for you. And I'll give it to you now. It's info@platomadison.org. We'll tell it again later. If you want any information, don't put it in the Q&A with your thing, but on the info, we'll be able to do any kind of thing that you might want from me. I'm happy to do that. And we're going to have a raffle for the 4 books at the end. So make sure you stay with us.
Thank you, Mary Helen. That's great. Yes, we will be giving away 4 copies of Mary Helen's book, the amazing Itty Bitty Retirement Book. And by the way, I did have a copy of this book that I had with me on my last day on the air on Wisconsin Public Radio, and I used it and I found it helpful. And I gave my copy of the book to my sister because she retired shortly after I did. And she liked it so much, she hasn't returned it yet. So hopefully I'll get that back.
Yeah, so
Now we
we'll,
are going to, go ahead.
that was our mid-break, Joy. So we're on tip number 9 now.
Okay, all right, good.
Okay, so anything else that I should know from you? Anything that popped up?
No, that's great. I thought that we were going to tell people about giving away the books, but we'll do
Right.
that when you're done.
Right. Okay. So that was our mid-commercial, and it was even a nicer commercial than I could have ever done. So thank you. Because Joy, I know you haven't done an Encore entrepreneurship job. You've just been busy as all heck. But for many of us, finding our new Encore after career includes becoming an entrepreneur. Nearly 25% of all the new businesses are started by folks just like you, ages 55 to 64 and older. And the statistics have also shown that the businesses that are the most successful are those that are Encore entrepreneurship businesses. Generally, if you're in business 3 years after you start, it's good. But the senior entrepreneurship route is more successful than that. Most Encore entrepreneurs are in business 5 to 10 years. So if you've got that dream in your heart, feel free to do that. I knew when I retired and stepped off that stoop again, that I could have sent my resume out. I knew I had skills, but I didn't want to sit for 6 months waiting for somebody to say no to me. Every time I went to the mailbox, no, no, no. I knew that I was older. I knew that I was a woman of a certain age, and I knew that they could hire people a lot cheaper than they were going to hire me. I didn't want to hear the no's. I wanted to invent my yes. So if you'd like to invent your yes, Small Business Association is in town, please give them a call. Create something, share it. I knew that having an online presence, nobody would know how old I am. And if that appeals to you, I hope you will think of that as well. Because you gotta have friends. You gotta have friends. Joy didn't want to sing this with me, but anyhow, you know how to sing. You gotta have friends. That was what is critical to your retirement. You gotta have friends. Some of my work when I go out and give talks has not been pleasant, may I say. I have heard the gentleman that said to me, I met my best friend the Monday after I retired, and his name is Jim Beam, and I meet with him every morning. I met with a group down in Beloit of 20 people in the room, and out of the 20 people in the room, there were 12 of them that lived by themselves. They need to have friends. We started a group down there for solo agers. I know of people that, again, on the Monday after they retire, don't know what to put on because they've only worn the same suit or dressed up clothes every single day. Retirement has its downsides, but the upside is you gotta have friends. When I ended my career, most of my friends were, in at least my business life, were more national than they were local. I was working full time, I was teaching at night, and I'm not a good barstool person. I didn't know people. I didn't have friends. So what I did was I gave myself a challenge. I gave myself a challenge of the 50 cups of coffee challenge. And what I did was I said, I will meet 50 new people in my life and have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, glass of water. So I got to know the coffee shops well. And you go, how did you meet 50 people? Okay, my networking group, that was one. But you have church groups. I even invited somebody that stood in front of me in the grocery line. Would you like to just go next door and have a cup of coffee? Meeting new people in your life creates brand new things. I gotta tell you, I was so fortunate. 2 of the people I met in my 50 cups of coffee One was a woman that owned her own photography studio for 30 years. And she said, Mary Helen, I have a dream of being a snowbird. Now, who would do that? Who would want to leave Wisconsin during winter? I don't know, but she decided she wanted to do that. And you know what? 3 years ago, when she sent the postcard from Florida that she had gotten down there, priceless. Second woman, she was 10 years old at the World's Fair, and she was walking through the World's Fair, and she saw for the first time somebody throwing a pot on a pottery wheel. And she looked up at her mother and she said, I want to do that someday. Her mom said, sure, sure. She went on, she got an engineering degree, had a successful career. But 14 years ago, she fired up pottery. And she had her own studio. And she's helped many people across this town get the value and joy of making something. She just left that position and she bought herself a brand new RV and she's going to travel the country. You got to have friends, because hearing their stories, it was never my 50 cups of coffee was to find a job. It was to get inspired by somebody else. It was a reason to get up in the morning and talk to somebody. And you can still do that. I've been doing it on a Zoom call. This past year, I've been doing 50 cups of virtual coffee. And if you want one of those, I'm happy to do that. Find out why you need friends. And I hope you're hearing it's an S at the end of that word. It's friends. No one friend can give you everything you need. So find a friend. Find a friend. Call a friend. Check in with a friend. And while you're doing that, you can stretch your muscles. How many of us have been watching people walk past our house every day? Walking their 10,000 steps. They're stretching their muscles. Go out and wave to them. I used to put out little signs. You only have 2 more miles to go. Whatever it is for you to stretch, stretch. Stretch your mind, stretch your body. Stretch in yoga. Do the laughing yoga. Find a way to move your body, because if you move your body, you move your life. If you move your body, you move your life. Now, this is one of those questions you can ask of your partner at night or anybody else. You know, it drives me crazy a little bit with most of our phone calls going, hi, how are you? Yeah. How's the weather there? Yeah. It's cold here. Yeah, it snowed yesterday. Yeah, St. Patrick's Day was really dreary. Why do we ask that question when we're talking to somebody? Why don't we ask, what did you learn today? What did you learn today? Won't that be interesting? And I'm going to challenge you to have a personal learning project. You know, I have 2 sons. My 2 sons, when they were like 8 and 10, they had that long summer kind of thing going on. And the one phrase that I used to hate hearing from any child was, I'm bored. I got to tell you that I hate hearing it from retired folks too. So don't say it. You might not use those words, I'm bored, but you're going to be bored. You're going to be bored. Get a learning project. What we did with the boys was Michael really liked Pompeii. He was infatuated with Pompeii. And so what he did that summer was he made a volcano. He got the National Geographic magazine. He opened it up. He looked at the city. He made Italian dinners for us. He put on Italian music. He did a summer of Pompeii. My other son, Paul, who was 8, what he said was, Mom, I want mail. I don't get any mail. And as an 8-year-old who sent some mail, I offered my bills. He didn't want them. But what he did do was he got a stack of postcards and he wrote to every tourist agency in the 50 states. Did he get mail? He got mail. He got file folders worth of mail. And he would spend his time organizing those, putting them in the states. He'd look for the national parks one night. Whatever it was, he could then do that. So whenever they'd get that look on their face of, I'm bored, I go, tell me more about your project. Where are you? Have a learning project in your retirement. I don't know what that might be for you, but keep the brain synapsing, be curious. and reclaim your creativity. In our house, I'm the eldest of three, and I was the older sister, the responsible one, the librarian. My middle sister is the artist, incredible, incredible artist. My younger sister is the writer. She got the journalism degree. She was that. Reclaim your creativity. What is it that brings you joy? I love the picture of the buttons that I put on here, because what could you do with buttons? Could you stack them? Could you glue them together? Could you, whatever it is, be the artist of your life. Find creativity in a brand new way. You know, I decided that just because my sisters did that did not mean that I couldn't do that. So I got one of those watercolor tins and I started just putting watercolor on paper. I totally enjoyed it. I love photography. For the writing, I've written a book. I help people publish books. I love that. But I had to get out of my head what creativity was. I hope you'll do that too. Now, this is the one that usually gets us, is what is our legacy? What are we going to leave? And I define legacy as leaving the lessons of your life to the future, not necessarily the gold. If anybody is waiting for the gold in my legacy, they're going to wait a long time. But do I have lessons in my life? Yeah, I do. I'm sharing them now. Do I have a medical legacy? My DNA? Do I have a service legacy? Do I have a family legacy? Am I really glad that I know some of those family recipes? I can make gubla coochie, and if you want to know what that is, just let me know. But there are family dinners that we've had that I do know how to cook. There are photos that I can go through, I can sort. I've helped mentor people, I hope. And then there's that money thing. And if you were hoping that I would share with you how to have all the money you need for retirement, that's not my job. Those are the financial planners. I want to know why you need the money, and that's here. The lessons of your life will produce those. And our last tip for today, aren't you amazed? We're on tip number 15, is ready, set, retire. Are you ready? Because I've got to tell you that retirement is not something new for you. Retirement is only a transition. And our first transition was when we graduated from high school. And we didn't know whether we were going to college, what that would be like, workplace, what was that going to be like? Nobody knew us. It was all new. You might have done it if you got married. You might have done it if you've had a child. You might have done it again if you've lost a parent, a friend. We have had transitions in our life all the time. And retirement is only a transition. And just like all transitions, there are phases for it. So if you're at the planning stage, it's euphoric. You cannot wait. You have that calendar and you're marking off those dates until you're retired. You are really excited about that. But you might also be planning that goodbye party. Now, for many people, they didn't have one this past year. And if you've known anybody who retired last year, please call them and say, you didn't get a party, but I want to thank you for your work. I want to celebrate your life. The honeymoon phase, that happens when, a couple months after retirement, you go, how is it? Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, right. But there's a disillusionment phase when you sit there and go, is this all there is? That's what happens with the Great Divorce too. You look across the room and you go, I'm with this person forever? What, really? We all get disillusioned, but that doesn't mean we don't go through the phase to reinvention. Reinvent every part of your life. Because then you're going to be like Joy Cardin. When I asked her how her retirement was after 3.5 years, because 3 years is the magic number, 3 years. The first year you try things, you just kind of go through it. The second year, you start adding those new inventions. And the end of the third year, you can be able to say whether or not it was good for you. For Joy, it's good. It's now her new normal. even in an abnormal time. It's a new normal for her life. So it has been a pleasure to speak with you. If you'd like to meet again, I'm going to be at the Madison Senior Center next week on one of my favorite talks, which is Do I Matter? Thriving with Purpose. And I'm also a SAIL member, and I'm doing a workshop with a wonderful, wonderful author, Galen Metz, who has an actual step-by-step how to do retirement. We're going to be talking April 15th and 22nd. And if you need more information about that, happy to oblige. Please contact me. Please contact me. Mary Helen Conroy at gmail.com. And my website is yourheartdreams.com. And now, Joy, now I get to turn it over for you. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much, Mary Helen. I was so anxious to jump in there to tell people about this wonderful giveaway that you have offered us. So we'll get to your questions in just a moment, but let me let you know that we have this special giveaway for 4 attendees. 4 of you will be randomly selected starting right now using the numbers of my last day on the air for Wisconsin Public Radio. This was Mary Helen's idea, and I think it's cute, and it's certainly random. So September 29th, 2017 was my last day on the air, meaning that we are going to select the 9th, the 29th, the 20th, and the 17th of our participants. We will announce the winners at the end of the program, so you'll want to stay with us to hear if you won or not. And then we are going to ask you to email Plato. The email address is info@platomadison.org. info@platomadison.org. And then you can give us your street address, presuming you want the book, and we are going to get that to Mary Helen, and Mary Helen will autograph the book and ship it off to you. So there we go. We will announce the 4 winners at the end of our Q&A. So yeah, that was great. Really, really great, Mary Helen. Even though I have been retired now for 3.5 years, and I love it. I really do love my retirement. I also want to do everything there is to do. So sometimes you overcommit. Yes. And so what I'm going to need to do is do a little bit of a checkup and kind of go through a lot of what is bringing me the most joy? What is the most fun for me? What is giving me that purpose the most? And then I'm going to have to kind of, I think I'm going to have to whittle things down just a little bit, because you can do that too, right?
Right. And I think that's why those words are review, retreat, and reinvent. They're good for an annual kind of checkup, but to review what's worked, especially in this last year, and again, give yourself time to reinvent, then figure that out. So it's a good idea there. But we do say yes too much at the beginning. We say yes to everything. And every once in a while, it's just good to say no. I'm thinking about that. I'll think about that. Put it in your idea book.
Now, I don't remember, Mary Helen, if it was you or one of the WPR listeners. I thought it might have been you, but it was, don't say, if you get a bunch of people coming up to you, will you be on my board of, directors for this nonprofit? Will you, do all these speaking engagements for me? Or to wait a while before you say yes to things. In fact, even wait a year or 6 months to a year before you make a long-term commitment.
I think it's like with any transition, you need the time there. They always say after a death, don't sell the house for a while, and things like that. It is the same that we're finding in retirement. It's major. You can't take it lightly. If you turned everything, like the pandemic, if you changed everything in your life, you need some breathing time. So please do take the 3, 6, 9 months. I'm very grateful I sat there for 3 months not knowing what I was going to do. And the problem is that we feel guilty about that. We think we should be doing something. After working since I was 13, I thought I should be doing. Stop. Just stop. It's okay. And just know that first year is your birth year, as it were.
Yeah. We have a comment from one of our attendees. I retired, Debbie says, at the beginning of 2020. So I feel like 2020 was a wasted year. I would love to explore ways to bring more fulfillment into my life. So what advice do you have to somebody who retired when the pandemic shut everything down?
Congratulations. Congratulations and with the retirement. What I feel badly for, especially for seniors, is that an awful lot of us had to retire unwillingly this past year. And I do not take that lightly. The ageism of this past year has been terrible for seniors. Debbie, what I'd say to you is, okay, now you've had your resting time, you had your thinking time, you've had all of that angst. Your idea list must be kind of long now. What didn't you get to do? And start working at it, because I'm not really a bucket list, but I am an idea thing, because you never know when something might pop up. So I hope you have that list and start one step at a time, and don't be limited by the pandemic. I mean, I Zoomed with more people. I learned how to Zoom. You've all learned how to Zoom, or you wouldn't be here today. Congratulations. I think we have to look at what we did learn this year. The blessings of the pandemic have been many, even though they've hurt us a lot. And look at those first and then keep going. Debbie, congratulations. Enjoy it. And I hope I hear from you in 3.5 years.
Yeah. Barbara just added that she calls retirement repurposing.
Yes.
And that's another good one. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Because we are reinventing, we are rewiring. I'm in a group, we say we have, we are the rewired ladies of.
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mary Helen, you're not a medical professional, but I'm gonna share this question anyway. Someone who's viewing from Hilton Head Island and says that we have a very active retirement. My greatest fear, which I have already experienced once, is the fear of falling.
Absolutely.
Do you have any recommendations or advice?
And again, I'm not the medical person. However, I do know this is huge. Wisconsin, I know you're in South Carolina right now, but Wisconsin is one of the top states for falls in the nation. And there are many programs that generate that it's not okay to fall kind of programs, whether it's American Red Cross is doing them. I know SAIL does a program every year. So I go to those, because what we need to do is get our core strong enough to be able to stay upright and also to be able to sit up and down. So instead of sitting on your couch, sit in a chair one time. And during the commercials, every time a commercial comes on, stand up, sit down during the commercial, because those are the muscles we need to keep in balance so that we don't fall. But I so agree with you. Falling is not good for any of us.
Yeah. Do you have any general advice on how people can get over the fear of failing, perhaps? Wanting to try something new, but afraid to crash.
Well, and I when I put up that Encore entrepreneur thing with all the light bulbs, because Thomas Edison tried to invent the light bulb with 1,000 different light bulbs, and they all failed until the one that didn't. And that's what, the more we fail, the better it is. Yeah, it's so where's the guilt coming from? Who's judging you as being a failure? I mean, when I can't figure out something and I fail, like, I can't tell you how many times I've not gotten a Zoom meeting started right. I got it better today because I failed the other times. So don't judge it. Don't judge it as right or wrong. It just is. And figure out what you learned. It's not about whether you succeeded or you failed today. It's what did I learn today? So when I go to bed at night, those are the treasures I try to find. It's not what I did really well. It's what did I learn today, so that I could do it again tomorrow, something new.
Do you have by memory your next webinars. We have somebody who just said, could you please repeat your next appearances again?
Sure. The Madison Senior Center, and you can either through Google or the Facebook. I'll be at the Madison Senior Center on the 23rd, which is, I believe, Tuesday. And that'll be an afternoon, and that's on the topic of You Matter. Yeah, you matter. You do matter. I've been signing all of my emails during this pandemic. Hugs, be safe, you matter, because we need to remember that. And the second one is a sale presentation, and that will be with Galen and I, and we do a great dog and pony show because I'm the inspirer and he's the step-by-step person. And so those are two really great workshops as well. And feel free to email me about anything at the info@platomadison.org, or my own name, Mary Helen Conroy @gmail.com, and I'll be happy to stay in touch.
For those who aren't familiar, SAIL is what?
SAIL is Sharing Active Independent Lives. It is a membership organization in the Madison area for seniors over 50, and it gives you many, many things. There's about 10 different programs every month, from book clubs to book chats to whatever. They even do things like flipping mattresses for people. They do service projects. It's an amazing organization that, as I started with them, I can pay it forward, or when I'm older, I'll be able to have somebody be able to drive me someplace for whatever. They have the sunshine calls every day that they're calling people. So SAIL, SAIL, Sharing Adult Independent Lives.
Good. Ginny loved two of the tips in particular. She is 20 years into retirement and has recently made the decision to move to independent living. That is another step into retirement.
It is.
So she particularly liked the 50 cups of coffee friendship, and because she's meeting all new friends where she is now living. And what did you learn today? And I also want to compliment you on that particular tip, because it's so much better to, what really fun thing happened to you today, or what did you learn today? Not just, what's the weather like?
Right. Good. And enjoy your new housing. I think that, and I've been at assisted livings too with these talks, and it is, make sure you open your door and you say hello. Put something on your door so people know that it's your door. And so when you meet them in the dining room, they're going to say, oh, you're the one with on the door, so that you can meet your 50 people. Cool.
Wonderful. Barb says, I think the hardest transition was changing my thinking of herself as someone other than her career. So many times we do think I am what I do for a living. She goes on to say, I also started planning a year before I retired. So I tried everything when I first retired. I then evaluated what felt like me.
Great ideas. Absolutely great ideas. I kind of tried to change my mindset with that as well. Instead of what do I do, it's what am I? I am a woman that has passion, that cares, that learns, that whatever, rather than I am a librarian. That one, when I moved up to Madison, Wisconsin, and couldn't find a librarian job, I was devastated. What was I going to do when I could no longer say I was a librarian, or that I taught, or that I would, it's really, really hard. But you know what? Right now, I'm the best Mary Helen I can be. And after 7 years, I have reinvented, rewired, recreated all 7 years. I am not the person that retired either. I'm not retired, left at stoop. But I can't answer the question about what do I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to have it to be a purpose. I want to be able to meet people. I want to be able to laugh. I want to get up and just choose how I spend my day. What's better than that?
I'm going to combine a couple of comments here. They're pretty deep, but we're running short on time. Someone says a death of a spouse requires reinventing oneself just as retirement does. And
Right.
another saying, how does having a partner or not affect what you have just told us regarding retirement?
Most of what I've told you, I hope, is for you, because that's the only person you can change. Only person that can take care of you is you. And again, my heart goes out to you for the loss of your loved one. Yeah. And again, those stages that I had at the end for the transitions for retirement, those, they're very close to the Kubler-Ross statements of any kind of transition, the denial, all the fears we have, etc. I know for myself, and the closest loss for me was my mother. The waves of memory, the waves of pain that would hit me from a week to a month to 6 months to 3 years. Again, it's 3 years. It takes 3 years before you even can really feel again after the loss of a loved one. I still, if I hear a certain song, I will burst into tears. When I see the number 651, that was our home address growing up, I think of my mother and I know she's there. You will always have that. And again, what did you learn from that person? And give them a hug. I mean, every time I see 651, I go, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. What do you recommend for those whose early retirement is being taken up with care for ailing parents, children moving back home, cancer journeys, etc.?
Absolutely.
It's not always a.
You need friends. You need a team. You need a tribe. My sister has had debilitating surgeries in her life, and we looked at her. And I lived in Madison. She was in Chicago, and we'd visit often. But she had a Rolodex of about 150 people to help her with her life, to take care of children, to take care of whatever. We all think we need to do this ourselves. We do not need to do this ourselves. We need to find friends. We need to have a tribe to help us to get groceries, to cry on our shoulders, to relieve us for an hour. Please, 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 we all need to open our doors. We need to open our doors so that you don't have to feel alone in taking care of your parents and taking care of those children back home. And I wish we had a way to do that better. I wish, because that's we could all be better. If I can come to Joy's house for a half hour, and I know that's hard right now, but if I could, it would make her life so much easier for a half hour.
Reinventing myself at this stage is challenging. Starting anew at 78 in the midst of a pandemic has left me adrift. Recommendations?
Start small. You know how to eat an elephant? You start with one spoonful. One little spoonful. So at 78, you go, okay, I want to test out my creativity. I'm going to buy the 29-cent thing or the dollar store, and I'm going to buy the little tray of ink and do something. Start small. Start just with something. And in your idea book, at the back of the book, you can start writing what you did do and keep it to be what you did try. I hate to-do lists, but I love to-done list. And so try something and then make yourself a to-done list. Yeah. Eat the elephant. Eat the elephant.
So we are at our end time. I don't have the winners listed anywhere. So I'm going to ask.
Hang on, I'm coming back. We've dropped a few people, so let me make sure everybody's still in the right order here. 2, 3.
That's okay.
7, 8. First one is Brenda Schmidt.
Say again. So it's
Brenda Schmidt.
Okay.
Okay, so there's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Charlene Sweeney is the second one. Cindy Schultz is the third one. And let's see, where did Cindy go?
She raised her hand anyway, so she's here.
Okay, she must be at the top. Okay, so
And we have one more.
we've got one more, so number 29. Let's see. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 7, 28, 10. There's just Emily. There's no last name. If your name's Emily, that would be you. Why don't you
Right,
raise
and
your
if there's more than one Emily, I'm happy to cover. So we're,
Oh, there's only one Emily.
All
Okay.
right, so those are the winners of Mary Helen's amazing itty bitty retirement book. And we need you to email info@platomadison.org, info@platomadison.org, because we need to know your street address so we can send you the book. So that's great. And I know, Mary Helen, people can also email info@platomadison.org if they have questions about, want to get in touch with you, but you can
Certainly.
give it your email because it's just as easy for them to email you.
absolutely. And my email is my name, Mary Helen Conroy, at gmail.com. Mary Helen Conroy at gmail.com, and stop by the website, yourheartdreams.com.
Well, I know that a lot of people had good questions, some of their own good advice, and they were inspired. Lots of compliments on the Q&A. I wish I had time to read them all, but maybe you want to just leave us with one thing we can do today to to either reinvent ourselves or prepare ourselves for
Well,
retirement.
that one's really hard for me, Joy. You ready?
Yeah,
Life's a daring adventure, and you're not done yet. And if you're not dead, you're not done. There it is.
that's good. I like it. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
all. Thanks for your time.
Mary Helen Conroy. She is a speaker and a life coach and author. Her book is The Amazing Itty Bitty Retirement Book. And our next lecture for Plato is coming up. Where is it now? I'm going to lose it. It is Hidden in Plain Sight: Native American Cultural Landscape. The Indigenous Education Coordinator with UW-Madison School of Education, Omar Poehler, will be giving this lecture on Tuesday, April 6th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can go to the Plato Madison website to register for that lecture. Thanks everybody for joining us, and hope to see you next time. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mary Helen. Could you be sure to email me the PowerPoint so I can distribute it? We had several requests for it.
Okay, great. I can do that. I'm going to put it in a PDF format so it'll work for everybody. Okay.
Sounds perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Thanks for your help. Nice meeting you, Trish. And
Louise.
thank you again for everything.
Sure, we'll be in touch.
Thanks.